I think it is extremely difficult for young people, especially my age, to access SRH and actually contraceptive help. I strongly believe that if I was not in BFLA YAM, me myself wouldn't have access to such things because stuff such as discrimination and maybe just shame and uncomfortableness would allow for those young people to not go into a busy clinic or a busy office and ask a youth officer or a nurse about certain contraceptives.
If people or young persons would feel ashamed because, especially if they are not married, um, they will they wouldn't have that what would I say, la confianza pues de ir y pedirlo porque pensarán they would think what would the people say or think about why I am going to get contraceptives.
If someone knows you in Belize and they see you going to the clinic and you're taking an AIDS test, they will always say it's the opposite. They will never have a positive mind and say you're protecting yourself. Right? So that's why a lot of people in Belize are very scared of taking AIDS tests and different kind of sickness through sexual intercourse. That's why a lot of people that I believe that are sick in Belize don't go to the hospital because of discrimination. In Belize, gossip spread a wrong lot. Okay, in school, I went to King's College and they taught about different kind of disease. They taught about AIDS, uh, different ways you can catch different illness by not protecting yourself with a condom. You can catch AIDS. What's the other one that you catch that itch?
HIV or AIDS? HIV?
No, they have another one that you can catch in your mouth too.
Or herpes?
Herpes, you can catch herpes too. The countryside of Belize, people don't know too much about different sexual diseases. Mostly, one they know about is the HIV virus and herpes. Not too many. I think people just know about how to use condom and not other ways of protecting themselves. Common is mostly what people use in Belize. Well, really, in schools they didn't talk much about contraceptive. Mostly when you go in health clinics and the hospital, you will see posters on the wall posting ads about how to use contraceptive and how to protect yourself against different kind of illness.
I don't really know what is
Contraceptives.
contraceptives.
All right, but you've heard of, well, have you heard of things like condoms and basically contraceptives are devices or sometimes medicine that people take to prevent pregnancy or, and in some cases, sexually transmitted diseases or infections.
Yes, I've heard about condoms and tablets and other stuff like that can prevent you from pregnancy and other sickness. No, not really. In our schools, they really talk about condoms and things. No, since I'm going my school, I'm from three. No, they don't really talk about it. It's not like a subject. Maybe it will have teachers, just sit down and say a few words about it. But to say that they have a period and actually telling you about it, no, we don't have that.
When I was going at school, they would. I remember that the teacher didn't taught us about contraceptives. They would just talk about the parts of your body, and I think about the menstruation, but they didn't really taught us about contraceptives and like that. Biology, well, yes, they taught us about it, but not really about contraceptives. The teacher just mentioned about when you have sex, well, if you don't use like condom or like that, she mainly spoke about all the diseases that you can catch.
Um, as far as I know, our HFLE curriculum does not allow for we to talk about, let's say, for instance, sexual diversity. What they would talk about would be abstinence. What they would talk about, waiting for your sexual debut till you're married, kind of thing. In biology, they would talk about, ejaculation, that kind of stuff, but they don't really target, like for instance, if you have a young gay guy in school, they will not talk about homosexuality and how to practice safe anal sex, that kind of stuff, because the curriculum does not allow for teachers to be involved in this. The same thing whenever I know of educators that they would go to school, they would be restricted as to what they can talk to the children about. At some point they would still talk about bad touch and good touch, when that's too vague for me. You should be talking more about this, especially like when the statistics are showing that 11, 12 kids are already having their sexual debut. So there's need to engage them more.
I think like there needs to be like formal education. Like I remember I think that was maybe Form 1, Johnson & Johnson came to school and they told us about the reproductive system, and then they gave the girls pads and stuff. I don't really know what they gave the guys or did with the guys, but at the end of the day I think like that would have been the perfect forum to say, hey, let's branch off, let's tell you how you get pregnant, let's tell you how you can get STDs, let's tell you what the different STDs are and all the ways to prevent the aforementioned. And they just didn't do that. I think a lot of lesbians or bisexual persons or just women who have sex with women think that because they are having sex with women that they are prevented or not in the group of persons who are susceptible to any sort of diseases. And I went to the seminar and I was mind blown, and I've just been like, holy crap, there's a lot of things out there that you could get. And I think it's communication is what it really boils down to, that you need to talk to your partner and say, okay, this is what my sexual history is, I'd like to know your sexual history, not to shun you, not to judge you, just so we know what page we're on. And even if you have a clean bill of health and I have a clean bill of health, you don't know what if it just didn't show up last time. So it's there, like unless you are in a very steady, committed relationship for like years or something, then I don't suggest that you have unprotected sex of any kind. I think it's just a lot of fear that surrounds people speculating about your sex life and what they think or expect your sex life to be. Because from what I have observed in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't focus on people, we focus on what we assume people are doing. So a lot of gay people or a lot of persons who are suspected to be gay is not, okay, you're gay, you like an ex-man, you like an ex-woman. It's, oh, you're gay, so you having sex with a man and you having sex with a woman. How does it work? Like, they all up in your sex life, not your personal life or who you are as an individual. So I think a lot of stigma comes along with that. I've had a couple guy friends who have had some discrimination problems. Like, they would go to try to see about stuff that they'd be worried about and then try to speak with the healthcare providers, like the nurses or the persons who do the registration, and then they'll just be met with so much hostility and judgment that they, at the end of the day, they just say, okay, well, this isn't worth my time, this isn't worth my embarrassment, so you know what, I got, like, to hell with this, and leave. And I think, like, we need to do things like to prevent things from, like, that from happening. It's hurtful to me as part of the community to know that, like, my brothers and sisters are out there and they can't get the support and the things that they need to just be a person and enjoy their life, and it's
and
sad.
enjoy their sex life. Like,
Yeah, that's a major part of life. From the time hormones start hitting you, that takes up 80% of your brain's capacity for the day. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, it's here. You see somebody good looking and it's kind of there. It's like, that's just human nature at the end of the day, and we deny that to so many people, and it's sad. Sad is not even the word that I want to use.
Criminal.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
I live on the south side of Belize City, and the education rate in regards to contraceptive is minimal to none. It is in the more poverty-stricken era of our demographic, and it's a chain reaction, because most times in the south side you have teenage mothers. Teenage mothers are from teenage mothers, so the entire cycle just leads to a loophole whereby rarely any individual can escape from it. How can you educate your child if you don't know? I've had acquaintances come up to me and ask me, well, if I pee after having sex, does the sperm come out? Or even, can I reuse a condom? And though to me it's flabbergasting, they literally are clueless, but they want to know the information. And we also have, like, the young men, they are I don't know if they're ashamed. They rather have unprotected sex than to go to the corner store and pay about $2.50 for a pack of condoms. And the usual excuse is, oh well, that's not for me, or it feels better having unprotected sex. And it's ridiculous, yes, but we have to understand that there are some people in our society, well, majority of our society, that doesn't have the correct knowledge and information and etiquettes about contraceptive.
So the world needs to be educated about the morning after pill, because I have way too many sisters out there who just pop in morning after pills like if it's Tic Tacs. And I think a lot of people should consult like healthcare professionals before they decide, okay, I'm just going to up and start taking birth control. Because I do have a friend who just decided one day, hey, I just want to start birth control, and she just started taking it just like that, and she wasn't prescribed anything. She didn't go to a doctor, and in the end it started to mess with her mental and just her stability in general, because she was very moody and there were a lot of physical side effects to it also. She started gaining weight, and then her self-esteem dropped, and it was so many different.
I don't generally have to explain to my friends about barrier methods, but hormonal contraception is definitely something that comes up. Like, my friends kind of know about it, but they don't know details, and whereas I have researched fairly extensively, and when I need to, I have places I can go back to and reference, and they will come to me and they'll just be like, so, you know, I'm thinking about this, what do you think of this, what are the pros and cons, can you like explain to me how this would work, how I could go about getting it? Well, in my experience, the pill is reasonably common. People
okay,
are
yeah,
on that.
right.
I've been on that. Not as a contraception issue, but as a medical issue, I've been on the pill. And I know several people who are on the pill, but I'm also thinking of people who want to who want to have different options. So a friend of mine was recently talking about wanting to start using the shot, Deepa Rivera, and they were just like, oh, I don't really know, like, it sounds like the kind of thing that I want, but, you know, can you talk me through it a bit more? I think there isn't a culture of routinely going to the doctor and being out to your doctor also has an effect on that. Yeah. Many people are not willing to tell their doctor, oh, you know, this is the kind of sex I'm having, or this is the kind, like, there's not so much self-advocacy of, these are the effects I want from my contraceptive, this is the effect that I want to get to, what are my options for achieving that?
Yeah. I actually think, of course, it's very true for the LGBT community. I think to some degree as well, it's also true for the for heterosexual youth. In that most times, if you do have a family doctor, your family doctor is obviously, your doctor is your mother's doctor or your father's doctor, and you feel very uncomfortable talking about your sexual activity with someone who is probably going to see your mother within the next 2 weeks to a month. So a lot of folks, even though they do have concerns about their sexual activity and how to protect themselves more, they don't have those conversations with their family doctor, and other than that, do not know where to go.
Because of the culture of associated shame from your family.
Yeah, so like I know friends who don't have those conversations with their doctor, primarily because they almost know that their doctor is going to tell their parents, and that's going to change the dynamic at home. So they would rather, even though they have a doctor they can speak to, continue to have potentially unprotected sex. And I think that's scariest of all, because there's more than one issue there. Yeah. There is
people who ostensibly have access.
Yeah, have different levels of access depending on their age. So next to that is that young people are kind of viewed differently about accessing or having conversations about contraception or their sexual activity and safety with their actual medical professional. But next to that is all the public services that are present for them to potentially reach out and get those sorts of answers. They don't know them. They don't know them readily. They don't know where to look or who to ask. So for some cases, the only option that crosses their mind is their actual family doctor, who they're not going to have that conversation with unless they're absolutely certain that it's going to be safe.
Working at the ministry, part of the work that we do is we have to educate people on proper condom use. So we have a lot of young people that would come, and there was always this barrier in which they don't want to talk to young people about condoms because of the same thing that they say young people shouldn't be focusing on sex, they should be focusing on school. So I am like, but yo, we have the realities that young people are having sex. So I bring them, I sit them on the sofa, and I am like, this is a condom. I had a wooden dildo, and I was like, let's talk about condoms. Let's talk about the importance. And then they would be like, whoa, this is the first time that I'm sitting here and somebody's actually talking about this thing. Because they would usually just give them the condom, and then they would be like, how am I gonna use this? And I remember the story about this person that she said her son was hearing that that condoms is the only thing that can protect you from HIV, but the kid was 6. So he came home and he's like, but mom, I will die of HIV. And the mom was like, what do you mean? He's like, I put this thing on and it keeps on falling. And then she's like, no, this is not for you at this age. This is for you to use whenever you're older. So then it goes back to there's a need to have, comprehensive education to young people about how to use condoms at what age they should be using them. Um, and part of my work with Belize and Empowerment for Change and just my networking alone, I know a lot of the LGBT people in Belize. So I know of a couple trans that have been discriminated when accessing contraceptive use because, for one, they say, yo, you're a guy but you want to be a woman, that's not supposed to happen. So what happens in those things is that they go back and they never access healthcare setting again. But because I know them, I would refer them to a doctor that I know would give them the proper services that they need. But in general, like I say, contraceptives are readily available. It's just the thinking that people have in Belize that say young people, they should not be focusing on sex, they should be focusing on school, or that sex is wrong, or that LGBT stuff shouldn't be happening in country. Yeah.